Planning and Zoning meeting to order. Before we begin, Steve has some announcements to make.
Yes, ma'am, Madam Chair. Thank you. Thank you, Commissioners. Just wanted to make a couple real quick announcements. First of all, I wanted to introduce Christina Moon. She is our new city planner. She has been, we've been looking for her for about a year and a half now. So we got her. This position was approved not last fiscal year, but the one before that, I believe, by City Council, and it was sought after from city staff, and council approved it. And we've been recruiting ever since, so we got Christina Moon here. She's going to be a welcomed addition to our team, and so welcome, Christina. And then beside her, another announcement is Tina has taken a job with the city manager's office, and so she will be relinquishing her post as the permit tech, and we are currently recruiting for a permit tech. So this will likely be Tina's last meeting with us. So Tina, thank you for all that you've done.
My pleasure.
And then I believe we have a commissioner that you may want to recognize at the end of the meeting. And then my last announcement is related to the cases that will be before you tonight. Historically, we have sent plats to, after it was reviewed by P&Z, we sent them to the city council with a recommendation. I'll try to speak up, sir. Thank you. That is not required. So we have done some research on that and looked in the state statutes and our city ordinance, and actually the P&Z is authorized to make the decision on all plats without having to send it to council for additional action. So the decision you make tonight will be the decision that we move forward with. Just wanted to bring that to your attention, and with that, ma'am, I turn it back over to you.
Okay, thank you, sir. First item on the agenda is approval of minutes for November 17th, 2021. Cliff?
Madam Chair, I have a problem with
Oh.
one of the minutes.
Yes, sir.
Page 3, continuation of item 3 from page 2, line 6. I did not vote no on that motion. I voted aye on that motion. Somebody's got me credited as voting no.
Thank you, sir. Any other changes?
We had a 4-2 vote though. So somebody's not credited with a no, but I am.
Which vote, tell me again, what's the case number?
The case number is SV 2021-008, the last sentence, or actually the last 2 sentences.
That was the curb and gutter. Okay.
Yep. Mr. Hines made the motion and I seconded the motion to deny it, and I voted aye on the denial.
I
Okay.
probably voted nay on it.
So it was Brian?
Okay.
Okay. Thank you, sir. All right, do we have a motion to approve with that change?
I move to approve the minutes.
Oh, see,
Can you slip in with a second?
Beat me to the
All
punch.
right.
All right.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? All right. First item on the public hearing. Case number PP 2021-005. Property owner Taylor Canute of Bosky Clark LLC is requesting approval of a preliminary plat of property located at 110 Clark Lane, parcel R63366 of City Edition, Block 85, Lot 1 and 2A of the City of Stephenville, Erath County, Texas. Steve.
Yes, ma'am. On October 20th, 2021, the Planning and Zoning Commission recommended approval of a rezone from R3 to R2.5 integrated housing, which was subsequently approved by City Council. The applicant is now bringing forward a preliminary plat for consideration. A final plat will be brought back once the public improvements are completed and accepted by the city, but for tonight, we are looking at a preliminary plat for this particular lot. Staff has reviewed the preliminary plat, and the submittals are also under review. In your packet, we have included there's a numbering issue there, but there are 9 different conditions that we have suggested that the plat be corrected with. And Madam Chair, with that, we would like to recommend that the P and Z consider approval upon correction of those conditions. The property profile, as included in the staff report, has current zoning, which was, as you know, recently changed to R2.5. We have been looking at the water and sewer availability on the property, and again, they have the submittals before us that are under staff review. With that, ma'am, I'd be glad to answer any questions.
Thank you, sir. Any questions for Steve? We'll go ahead and open a public hearing. And is there anybody here who wishes to, well, first, before we begin the public hearing, is Mr. Flanagan, or I'm sorry, Mr. Canute, did you want to speak, or do you have anything that you want to?
I'd be happy to answer any questions if anyone is here for the public hearing might have. Our engineer, Reese Flanagan, is also here. So I hate to punt a technical question his way, but if one comes up, I'm sure he can answer it. I think the 9 items that Steve noted, after reviewing those, it looks like most of them are just simply adding some language to the actual preliminary plat, which shouldn't be too hard to turn around, just labeling side yard setbacks, rear yard setbacks, things of that nature. But like I said, if there's any questions, I'd be happy to field them myself.
Thank you, sir. Okay, we'll go ahead and open a public hearing. Is there anybody here who wishes to speak in favor of this replat, or this preliminary plat? Is there anybody here who wishes to speak against?
Can we simply ask a question about it?
Certainly. Why don't you come up to the microphone, state your name and address? And you have 3 minutes. If it's just a question, I don't imagine we'll need it, but.
My name is Dale Britton. My address is 301 Cactus Valley, so we border the properties, and the question immediately was just how do you define R2.5?
Okay, are you sure you're on the right case? So this is on Clark Lane. If you're on Cactus Valley, I wonder if you're talking about the one that's on Prairie Wind?
Right.
So that's a different case.
That's a different
Yes, sir. So, yeah, we'll come back to you. Okay. Okay, so anything regarding, this is the property on Clark Lane. All right, we'll go ahead and close the public hearing. Commissioners, we need a motion so that we can discuss?
I move that we approve with conditions listed by staff, PP 2021-005.
Second.
And that was Nick. Commissioners, do we have any discussion?
I just had a question. Why does the plat start with lot number 4 rather than lot number 1?
I think if you.
I'm looking at the plat here. Is this the correct plat that's in the package?
Yes, sir, that's the correct plat.
Starts with lot number 4. That seems a little strange.
No, if you looked all the way to the left, there says lot 1.
And lot 2 is to the north.
So,
I
Commissioner Lauder, the portion that's being replatted,
that appears to be the entire piece of property.
there's a lot 2 at the top of the property
Okay,
to the left. So the plat that they are showing is a portion of the block, but not necessarily the entire block. So this lot number for this particular parcel is going to be broken into multiple lots.
I
And that's
understand
why it
that.
picks up from the numbering point forward.
And looking at the map, it appears that,
Yeah, this top part up here,
well, I'm looking at this.
I know,
map,
this
and
is, this is the entire property here that they're planting. They own this
Yeah,
part
yeah,
up
that
here,
bit.
but the grade drops tremendously. So they're only working on this portion of the property
Yeah,
now.
I thought-
This-
okay.
This portion right here was part of the rezone, but not included in this scope of work right yet. Okay.
Just seemed a little strange.
Yeah, I had to look at it twice.
Is that clear? Okay.
Thank you, Mr. Vines.
Any other questions? All right, let's go ahead and vote. All those in favor of approving this preliminary plat with the
Condition.
conditions as noted in the packet. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Those opposed? All right, so that preliminary plat is approved. And it's just approved, it doesn't need to go to council. So, moving on, case number PP 20201 -006, applicant Reese Flanagan with Flanagan Land Solutions representing Cowtown Properties LLC is requesting approval of a preliminary plat and Planning and Zoning Commission recommendation for council approval of the development plan for property located at 525 Collins, parcel R33237 of Shepherd and Collins, Block 6, Lot 1 and 2, and A0032 Blair John of the City of Stephenville, Erath County, Texas. Steve.
Yes, ma'am. On August 18th, 2021, the applicant presented a conceptual plan for this property for an intended townhome project. The concept plan proposed 43 units on 2.62 acres and had 86 parking spaces and 37 guest spaces. The rezone from industrial to PD was approved by City Council on November 2nd, 2021. Tonight, the applicant is bringing forth a preliminary plat for consideration. Staff has reviewed the plat and the submittals, which are still under review. However, the plat with these 6 conditions, staff would recommend approval once these conditions are met. And so just clarification on that. You can approve, you can deny, or you can approve with conditions. And what we're recommending is approval with these 6 conditions on the plat. With that, ma'am, be glad to answer any questions.
Thank you, sir. Commissioners, do we have questions? Mary?
Yeah, when we looked at this last, Steve, there was I asked about whether or not a study would be done on traffic impact. Was that not something your staff determined would need to be done, or?
That's, we're not to that milestone yet in the review process.
Okay, so that's something that still could be required at a later date, or would we need
That is
to
correct.
include that in this approval?
No, it will be part of the development review process, sorry. And so that is one of the standard requirements through the review process, is that we will, the engineer will have to certify either it does or does not meet the threshold of the impact.
Okay.
Other questions for Steve? All right, Mr. Flanagan, do you have anything that you wish to add?
Just happy to answer any questions.
Okay, thank you, sir. Let's go ahead and open a public hearing. Is there anybody here who wishes to speak in favor of this replat or this preliminary plat? Is there anybody here who wishes to speak against?
I have a question.
Okay, let's
Can I
have a
have a-
motion and then we can
A motion,
discuss.
then I can discuss.
So let's go ahead and close the public hearing, and if we can have a motion, then we can discuss.
I move that we approve PP 2021-006 with the conditions listed by staff.
Second.
All right, Mary.
I noticed that there is and this may be for your engineer, a detention pond for water runoff.
Yes, for sure.
How will you deal with water that sits in that pond for an extensive period of time? Because mosquitoes are a thing here in Stephenville, especially in that area. And so living not too far out of the 200-foot zone, but not too far from that, and knowing there are a lot of elderly and children in that area, just for public safety, from a public safety standpoint. I know that several other detention ponds in the city of Stephenville have had issues with mosquitoes, so I'm really curious as to how that will be addressed.
Sure. So it's intended to be a detention pond, so water would not remain in it. It's not going to act as a retention pond. We're going to ensure that there is some kind of slope in the bottom of that pond so that we don't have standing water for
So
long periods of time.
it will eventually drain
Yes.
away. Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
I'm satisfied now. Thank you.
Got a question for you, Steve. Has Public Works given this their approval in light of the fact that there's only a 4-inch sewer line going to this property? That seems a little small for the number of units going in.
Yes, sir. The submittals are before city staff. We're looking at that. This is a preliminary plat, so if it is determined that additional utilities are going to be required or an upgrade to those utilities, that will be reflected on the final plat once we get to that point, so.
Okay,
but
so they've not approved or Public Works has not
Still,
approved or
those
disapproved?
submittals are still under review and will
I
be
see.
part of the
Okay.
review process as well, and so we will
Just
address
curious.
that. And when we do come back with the final plat is when you'll see
Okay.
all of those utilities and any changes to the preliminary plat that occur during the review process.
Thought that was kind of small for the number of units.
And they can still tie into, they're at the intersection there and tie into their property with a 6-inch.
Well, there is at the corner, I suppose.
And then they can
But
just
the
go
one
right
going,
into
the one
the
going up
property.
the street is much smaller. And you have a 6-inch on the other side of the railroad tracks as well.
It's actually a 6-inch at the southeast corner of the property.
Right.
So they would just tie in
So
there.
the topography of this property will actually allow them to tie in at the 6-inch line.
Okay. Just curious.
Yes, sir.
All right, are we ready to vote? All right, the motion stands that we approve this preliminary plat with the conditions noted in the packet. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? All right, that passes. Case number PP 2021-007, applicant Taylor Canute, representing Bosky Clark LLC, is requesting approval of a preliminary plat of the property located at 0 River North, 1, 2, and 3, parcel 40037 of A00332 Blair John of the city of Stephenville, Erath County, Texas. Steve.
Madam Chair, cases 007 and 008 are sister cases, lack of a better term there. The plat that has been submitted includes a parcel that has not been previously platted, along with several that have been platted. And so that's why we're taking two different cases forward on this. So on the 0 River North, this is the plat that has, the property that has not been previously platted. Current and future zoning is R1, and then there is a map showing the utilities for this particular property. We do have the submittals under review. Staff has looked at the preliminary plat, and we have a list of 14 conditions that we would like to see on the plat before it is approved. So we would ask for conditional approval tonight. Once those are completed, then the plat would automatically be approved. This property is, again, it's properly zoned, and so the plat is not necessarily up for debate tonight, other than can we approve it or deny it, or approve with conditions. And so I know we have a lot of people here with lots of questions about the property. Just want to preface that with the submittals for the drainage are under review, and any modifications to that plat that have to take place to accommodate the drainage study will be made and then presented back to P&Z for approval when we review the final plat.
Okay. So to be clear, here at this point, we are pretty much obligated to simply follow the letter of the law. We don't have wiggle room. If they've, done everything appropriately, if they follow these conditions, there's no reason not to approve
That is
this.
correct. The property's already zoned R1. Future use is also R1. So at this point, we're just looking to see if the plat itself will allow for the development, meet all the requirements of the subdivision ordinance, such as lot size, lot dimension, drainage, of course. Common areas will result in the development of an HOA or establishment of an HOA. So those are all things that we will take in consideration during the review, but not necessarily anything that we can debate tonight.
Got it.
Yes,
Then this is a preliminary plat, and it'll come back to us again with the final plat.
Final plat, once the improvements are installed and accepted by the city.
Okay. Thank you, sir. Any questions for Steve? All right. Mr. Canute, do you wish to speak about this development?
For everybody here, my name's Taylor Canute, representing Bosky Clark LLC. I live at 373 North Floral, just down the way in Stephenville here. This is a project we've been working on for a good amount of time now, and it's now all starting to come to fruition. The preliminary replat that we're going for tonight includes 82 single-family lots that, just to reiterate what Steve said, that property is zoned R1, and it was our intention to, instead of going in with a planned development, we wanted to stick with the current zoning R1. And while 82 lots seems like a lot, I think we were entertaining some site plans that showed more lots going in with a planned development. We figured this was the best use for the property to stay within the current zoning. And while all the lots are actually a little bit larger too than the regular R1 zoning or the minimums of R1 zoning. They're all around 9,500 square feet, some larger, close to a half acre, third acre, things like that. We think this project is going to be a great thing for Stephenville. There's a huge need for new construction housing in town, not only to, help people that are moving here to fill many open jobs in town, but also to help the growing university. So this subdivision is going to be very upscale. We are probably going to establish an HOA that has minimal, probably annual fees to maintain the common areas. The plat that we submitted has 3 entrances to the subdivision, which will be landscaped. A few common areas for potential things like a dog park or small park, something like that. So some nice amenities, and then the back 20 acres of the property, it is our intention to, we're working with several different groups right now to try to establish a walking trail, bike path, whether it be asphalt or crushed stone, something like that, to take advantage of the natural area down there. And like I said, that'll be hopefully around 20 acres. So we think it'll be a great amenity for the city and only benefit the surrounding area. So
Thank you, sir.
I have a question for you.
yes, sir.
I'm looking at the preliminary plat here, lot number 4, for lack of a better direction, on the lower right-hand side. Basically, lot 4 sets between the ends of 2 streets. Can you tell me why you wanted to end a street, have 1 lot, and then begin the street in the existing subdivision rather than running that street straight through?
Well, one, I think the way that we have the current layout will also minimize, one, instead of having just 1 entrance and exit, which was how we were originally approaching it. I think this addresses your question. Traffic will be slower through there in terms of speed limits. It breaks up the subdivision a little bit better, the current plan that we have. And then it's one of the comments that was brought forth by the city about the thoroughfare plan. So again, all of that is going to be addressed, and we just think it was a better utilization of the lots to do it the way it is.
My concern is emergency access. Whereas you could just go straight through on this street, you would forego 1 lot instead of having somebody to go around, basically make a big U-turn, go down 4 lots, turn again, go back up 4 lots. It just seems that it would be better to me to have the continuation of that street. I don't see the name of the street on the plat, so I can't refer to it by name.
Right, and I actually don't have it in front of me, so I'm trying to, off my memory, figure out where the,
Yeah.
Well, I can tell you, it's midnight shadow in the existing area, and you have a barricade there for all of these huge lots across the way, and I have some questions about that.
All right, sir, let's go ahead and wait on that until we open the public hearing. So just let's put a pin in that, and then we'll come around.
I guess to answer Bruce's immediate question, again, it's comment number 14. All fire requirements, life safety vehicle requirements will all be addressed. Everything will have to comply for engineering to be approved.
it to me looks like a traffic problem. Because if that street were to continue on, you would have a continuous street. You wouldn't be squealing tires around corners.
Do you mind if I just? if I
Yeah, go
walk
ahead.
up just so I- just
I'm
get
happy to
right
show you
what
here
you're talking about?
what I'm referring to. Lot number 4, you've got this street coming up here. I was at the property today looking at it. And you have this street ending here, whereas these two streets could continue on, and then you've basically got a through route. Whereas, if you come up this street, you've got to turn down here, turn down here, turn down here. And, like I say, you unfortunately would forgo one lot, but it seems kind of strange that, it's laid out that way.
Well, this actually, so this is, again, I'm with you, I don't know the name, it's not on the plat, the
Right.
name of that road. There's a pretty severe elevation change from the top of the curb there to the bottom, so these lots will, again, be sitting lower. I don't know if it's necessarily possible to bring in that road all the way down there.
I mean, it's just one lot, I mean, from the
Point
front of the lot to the back of the lot.
Okay,
It's a concept.
let's,
But I'm just
Noted,
curious
and
as to
let's
as to
have the
why it was
engineers-
done that way.
okay. Thank you. Do you have any other questions for Mr. Canute? All right, thank you, sir. We're going to go ahead and open a public hearing now. If, since there seems to be a lot of people here, I'm going to keep it, we're going to have a 3-minute limit, and I will keep close track on that. Keep in mind, you're welcome to voice your opinions, your concerns, but keep in mind what we are allowed to do at this point, okay? We are following the letter of the law. So if this is merely about how the land will be divided, it is not a change in zone. So the zoning is currently R1, it will stay R1. The developers are completely within their rights to build houses there. So it's just a question right now of how the land is divided for platting. Okay? So I'm going to go ahead and open the public hearing. Is there anybody here who wishes to speak in favor of this preliminary plat? Is there anybody here who wishes to speak against?
I have questions, but I'm in favor of the plat.
Okay, well, sir, why don't you come up to the microphone and give your name and address, and let's hear your questions. And you'll have 3 minutes.
My name is Owen Raspberry. I live at 301 Midnight Shadow. And frankly, the preliminary plat kind of takes us out of it, which is great. We don't want extra streets and all the traffic and all that. I disagree with the fact that it's a trap for emergency access. There's plenty of access there. It's going to increase our traffic somewhat anyway. But I have a question about the larger lots directly across from my street.
Is that the ranchettes?
And that would be, there's one over a half-acre lot there.
Which lot are
Are
those?
these planned to be
Oh,
for the
over there.
upscale builder, owner? A larger lot? That's not, these live
Might have
squeezed
them
in
address the
city
question.
lots.
Okay,
us.
sir, if you'd address the question to us, and then we can, I know it's confusing, but it's, because we're in a
Public.
public hearing, the questions have to come to us, and then we'll sort it out. So what specifically is your question?
My question is, concerning the lots across Isla in the new subdivision, they're much larger than the other individual R1 lots. No problem there, as long as I just kind of understood what it was all about. It is going to be
Single-family home,
R1,
R1,
single-family.
all
Well,
R1.
We know how that goes too.
It's all R1. They cannot go outside of R1. So it's got to be a home, a single home, minimum 1,500 square feet or up. So if it's a large
read
lot,
all
it's a
that.
large lot with a big house.
I understand that. I
Yeah.
was just wanting to make sure more than
Sure.
anything else that this was going to be a larger sized R1 lots.
Yes, sir. All of it.
For
All-
people moving in with more money. They want a bigger
That's-
place. They can have a half acre. In fact, I'd love to have that instead of a bunch of dogs on small acres.
Sure.
That, I think clears that up for
Alrighty.
me. And, Midnight shadow really isn't effective. I want to comment that I'm approving personally, which means nothing, the pre-plat, this pre-presented plat. We don't need to be anti-neighbors. We just don't want somebody taking over and running and increasing our traffic flow up city streets by 10 times and all that. I don't see that happening with this plat, so I'm in favor of it.
Okay, thank you, sir. Appreciate it. All right, is there anybody here who wishes to speak against this preliminary plat or has general questions? Yes, sir. If you would come to the podium and state your name and address. I'm so sorry. It's just so they can record it. And you have 3 minutes. Go ahead.
My name is David Black. I live on 701 Prairie Wind Boulevard. Now, there's a Prairie Wind Boulevard to the east of us that's not connected with us. And mine is going down, I'm at the bottom of a significant slope. So we get a great deal of runoff. And is that Prairie Wind that's to the east of us going to connect with the Prairie Wind that I live on?
Yes,
Well-
correct, Steve. Yeah.
That's a very low place there, and I'm very concerned about the runoff.
Sure.
We have a great deal of runoff in front of my house as it is. How are they gonna address that where we can be assured that we won't have any problems with flooding?
Certainly. Steve, do you want to speak to the process?
Yes, sir. So this preliminary plat is basically a conceptual plan of how the neighborhood will be laid out. We are at staff level and working with their engineers. We are looking at the flooding concerns.
Could you speak
through
up just a little bit, please?
Yes, sir. I
Thank you.
apologize. We will require a drainage study, and that has already been submitted, and staff is reviewing that. And so we have a team of engineers that works with their engineers, and we ensure that the development on this property addresses the runoff. And so basically, and to put it in terms that are far from being an engineer, but explained to me at a fundamental level, what the drainage study does is to make certain that this property does not allow the water to exit the property at a higher volume or a higher rate than what is currently in place. And so this development, if anything, should help alleviate some of those flooding concerns that you have, because we'll be developing the property and making sure that that water is diverted away from those properties into the drainage area. And so this should actually alleviate some of the problems that you've been having.
I sure hope so.
Yes, sir.
Thank you for.
Thank you, sir. Is there anybody else here who wishes to speak in favor or against this preliminary plat? Yes, ma'am. Please come to the podium, state your name, address, and you have 3 minutes.
My name is Mary Walls, and I live at the very end across the street from David at Prairie Wind at 101 Spring Bouquet Street. And my backyard is a hill, pretty steep hill. And my privacy fence is not on my line. It's about 10 feet from my line, so there's a bunch of trees behind my privacy fence. And this is kind of petty, I feel, but I don't want my trees to be cut down. So do I go out there and find my line and put, something there so that whenever they start building behind me, they won't cut my trees down?
So the trees are on your property?
Yes, I have about 10 feet behind my privacy fence. I don't want them to think, oh, her line ends at my privacy fence.
Right.
So how do you handle this?
Steve?
So a professional surveyor will go out and has gone out with this particular plat, and they use the pins and GIS positioning and all the surveyor tools to make sure that they can identify exactly where those property lines fall. And so this plat will honor that survey. And so your survey should match up with this survey. There should not be any overlapping of those properties once the surveys are completed.
Okay. All right. I just feel like I need to sit there. and watch.
Protect your trees. I hear you.
So that,
Nobody wants, yeah. I'm at 707 Prairie Wind, so I'm right in the thick of this with y'all. I understand. It's nerve wracking. Nobody wants change,
thank you.
but it could be an exciting thing for the neighborhood. So, anybody else? Yes, sir.
I would just like to address her comment that, one, we'd be, what Steve said, that the property lines will be very, very well defined. There won't be any sort of activity on your property, and it's in our best interest to try to keep as many trees, natural elements of the property as possible. It only adds to the value of the development as a whole. So we don't want you to think we're gonna go in there and bulldoze everything down and do all that. We're gonna try to keep as much of the natural landscape as we possibly can, and obviously only work within the bounds of our property, not encroach on anybody else's property.
Thank you, sir. Is anybody else here who wishes to speak in favor or against, or simply has a question?
Yeah, I know.
Yes, sir. You would come to the podium, give your name and address, and you have 3 minutes.
Yeah, Jeremy Caldwell, 105 Spring Bouquet. I had just had a question about my existing survey that I had sent over to Steve and how the plat laid out. It kind of had me and my neighbor at 103 Spring Bouquet with the back of the properties being equal. I have a survey that shows my lot actually going back deeper than my neighbor's lot, and so I was just concerned on which survey was correct, how the plat was laid out, or how the survey I have at home was clipped.
Yes, sir. I have that survey, and I will be discussing that with the developers and comparing their survey to your survey.
Okay.
But again, the professional surveyor should be able to identify exactly where those property lines fall, and there should not be an encroachment across the line either direction. And so we will definitely address that issue. I haven't had a chance to look back through the Board of Adjustment records. I have tried a very preliminary or high-level search for it, but I haven't gotten deep into the records to see if we can find something that you mentioned as possibly being a variance that was requested at the time.
Yeah, in my survey, and even one day when I saw the guys back there, my survey even notes that the pin was not found. And the guys, when they came back to survey it, they couldn't find the pin either. So my survey basically says pin not found, large rock, or something along those lines. So
Went back to the archaic.
yeah, I don't even think the pin is there.
All right.
But yeah, and then just to reiterate the question I asked you, the plan was how that plat is laid out right now. There will not be alleys. It will just be kind of the two properties butted up against each other.
That is correct.
From a Spring Bouquet standpoint.
With dedicated easements, yes, sir.
Okay, no, I appreciate that.
Yes, sir.
And just to reiterate the drainage thing, I know this isn't the platform that you have to address it, but it is 100% a problem. Midnight Shadow, Cactus Valley, draining onto Spring Bouquet, and then flooding into Prairie Wind. It's a problem. 4 or 5 houses flooded last time. You can see white caps on the street every time a heavy rain comes. You shouldn't see a river flowing down a street. So I'm optimistic to what you said. If the new development can add additional gutters to remove some of that water flowing from uphill, it could help the problem. I just want to be very, very clear. It is a problem. My lot can't take any more water. I almost flood every time we get a heavy rain. Spring Bouquet is a river.
Okay.
As you've seen from that video I sent you.
Yes, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Yes, sir.
Feel free to share that with anybody else.
Appreciate
sir.
it. Appreciate it.
No, thank you all for the time.
Is there anybody else here who wishes to speak in favor, against, or voice a concern? All right, hearing none, I'm going to go ahead and close this public hearing. Commissioners, we need a motion.
Let's see. I recommend approval with conditions listed by staff for PP 2021-007.
I'll second.
Do we need a discussion?
I know that the water is a big issue, but that's not the place right here, because I used to live on Cactus Valley myself, and I know the struggles y'all have over there, and we'll make sure that's taken care of from our standpoint if we can, so.
All right, Commissioners, all those in favor of approving this preliminary plat with the 14 conditions noted in the packet, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? All right, so this preliminary plat has been approved. Moving on to case number PP 2021-008, applicant Taylor Canute, representing Bosky Clark LLC, is requesting approval of a preliminary plat of the properties located at Prairie Wind off parcel R1 4960 of River North Ranchettes, Block 1, Lot 7, WPTOF, parcel R63113 of River North Ranchettes, Lot 1, Lot 6, WPTOF, parcel R63105 of S5640, River North Ranchettes. I feel like I'm reading the same line over and over. Block 1, Lot 5, WPTOF, parcel R63099 of River North Ranchettes. What? Block 1, Lot 2, parcel R63100 of River North Ranchettes. Block 1, Lot 3, and parcel R63101 of River North Ranchettes. Block 1, Lot 4, all being of the city of Stephenville, Erath County, Texas. Steve.
Thank you for that.
Good job.
I really appreciate you taking that. Madam Chair, Commissioners, this is again the case related to the previously discussed case. The plat is the same. We have the same conditions that we are requesting that be placed on the approval. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Canute, do you have anything that you want to add about this particular?
No, it all ties into the same development.
Okay. These are just
Yeah.
R1 houses, but on big lots of land, correct?
Correct. Again, the plat is the same. It's just the way this property is platted right now. There's 5 or 6 large parcels, and then tied to, again, the one that the prior case that we just discussed. It's all
Okay.
no different, same development, same lot.
Got it. Thank you, sir. Okay, Commissioners, do you have any questions for Steve? All right, we'll go ahead and open a public hearing. Is there anybody here who wishes to speak in favor of this preliminary plat? Anybody who wishes to speak against or simply wants to voice a concern? All right, closing this public hearing. Commissioners, we need a motion.
I recommend approval of PP 2021-008 with the conditions listed by staff.
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor of approving this preliminary plat with the conditions noted in the packet, say aye. Aye. Those opposed? Okay, so that is approved. Moving on to our final item for the night. Case number RZ 2021-019 and RP 2021-008. Applicant Kazi Momin is requesting a rezone of property located at 940 Harbin Drive, parcel R30440 of City Edition Block 144, Lot 3 of the City of Stephenville, Erath County, Texas, from R1 Single Family Residential to R2.5 Integrated Housing with simultaneous replatting.
Yes, ma'am, Madam Chair, if I may have the liberty, would you like to make the announcement that if they're done?
Yes, if people were here in attendance regarding the Prairie Wind and you want to scat, you're welcome to go. But if you want to hang on and hear this one last exciting bit of item, you are welcome to stay. But if y'all want to get out of here, you're welcome to make your exit now and go get dinner. Thank you, guys. Thank you so much for coming.
We call it supper around here.
Supper. Go get supper. It's so confusing. Thank y'all for coming. Thank you.
You heard called last dinner.
Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Chair. So Dr. Quasi he currently has a property on Harbin Drive. It's a large single-family lot. Dr. Quasi has asked that we consider his request to do a simultaneous hearing for a rezone and a replat on the property. So the property is currently zoned R1 and has future zoning as R1 as well. We have a map included in your packet that shows the existing utilities for the property. Just want to point out that city ordinance does allow us to make this consideration at a simultaneous hearing. It does require that the applicant submit an email or submit a request to the city administrator. We do have an email in your packet that illustrates that he did make the request and the request was approved by the city administrator. So the property is, what he is proposing is that he would retain a larger portion of the property for his existing single-family residence, and then two of the remaining part of that property would be rezoned into the newly developed R2.5 zoning category. And with that zoning, you may recall that the lot dimensions are reduced to 50 by 60. So 50 foot of frontage with 60 foot of depth. These properties will actually have 75 by 89 feet. So they meet that requirement. Mr. Quasi is asking for the consideration tonight for that rezone and replat. We do have the replat in your packet. We had that replat, we had 3 conditions, or I'm sorry, I believe we had seven conditions on the property, or on the plat, and actually received an updated plat shortly before the meeting, which was uploaded to your packets. That plat has met all the conditions that staff set forth, and so we're asking for approval, or suggesting that you consider approval for the replat if the rezone is approved. If the rezone is not approved, then the replat must also be denied. And with that, I'd be glad to answer any questions.
I'm curious about staff being okay with the R2.5 in the midst of a R1. You have any concerns about that?
It does not align with the comprehensive plan. And so that is the hurdle that the commission is tasked with tonight, is if we move forward with a rezone request when the comprehensive plan does designate R1. Now, countering that, the R2.5 was specifically developed to allow for developments to come into R1 neighborhoods that would allow for some of the, I guess, more popular types of housing choices right now with smaller homes or even townhomes, and allow that to take place without it being as high density as an R3 development would be if this request is for an R3 development. And so that, ma'am, is where I would suggest that I'll leave that.
Okay, thank you, sir. Mary, you have a question for Steve?
Yeah, Steve, I was under the impression that Harbin Drive all the way from Tarleton all the way down to the Northwest Loop was designated in this new tax incremental zone or something. I think Mr. Nix could tell us a little bit more about that. Isn't that new tax zone?
Should we be addressing that?
Yes. Okay. Yep.
I think we need to limit the questions to either staff or
Yeah,
the
just-
people that testify.
Okay. So I guess if you could just address your question to Steve.
Well, I
Yeah.
was trying to.
Okay.
Isn't that
Well,
that new tax zone,
I'm-
Harbin Drive?
I'm not fully aware of that tax zone that you're referring to. However, the decision tonight is, that would have no bearing or on this particular rezone request.
Okay, okay.
Mary, did you have
So,
a?
just asking really that the rezone request only be for the 2 lots that would be on Lydia?
That is correct.
Oh, okay,
So,
okay. I misunderstood that.
The
I apologize.
the residents currently in place will remain R1, and the lots, 2 newly created lots at front Lydia will become R2.5.
Okay.
Yeah, I had a question about zoning on the lot that's on the corner of Lydia and Fry. Is it 2.5? It's hard to to tell, and I didn't have a chance to measure it, but, does it,
5 right here.
I guess it's 905.
905.
905, Lydia.
Oh.
It looks to be about the size of what the two parcels would end up being. Is that an R 2.5 or is that still an R1? Do you have that information?
Let me see if I can catch up with where you, sorry, I bounced
that's
over
okay.
to the wrong document again, so.
Am I crazy?
For
Wasn't the
those
house
familiar
just
with
built there?
Stephenville, that's the backside of the old Oxford House.
There's a new house
Okay.
there. Yeah,
Next
that's where
to
they
the-
just built that new house.
The corner,
Yeah.
yes, next to the
Yeah.
old pool house.
But
yes.
it looks just like it looks like your standard R1, don't you
It
think?
is.
Yeah,
Mhm.
that's that new house that was
Right.
just built there.
Right.
Yeah.
But I'm in terms of the
Lot size.
parcel,
Yeah.
lot size,
Yeah.
it
Says
looks like
it
it could be comparable.
Yeah.
Yeah,
According to this
it's
map.
R1.
It's enough to make it, or it's large enough that it's R1.
It's zoned R1.
Zoned R1.
Yes,
Okay.
ma'am.
Okay.
Okay. Any other questions for Steve? Dr. Moman, do you want to speak about this development, if you'd like to come up to the,
Yes, thank you so much. My name's Momin Kazi, and I'm here just to make this request, and I appreciate the time tonight. And a lot of interesting thought went into this, and a lot of conversations back and forth with Steve Killen, so I appreciate that and the time there. It's really nice to see that I've brought the community together, hopefully to be able to answer questions. But the way that it was presented to me, it was originally my idea is I've got this very nice large lot, and about a quarter of it is not being used at all, other than for me to mow and pay someone to take care of it. And so it's like, what can I do with that? And so I know that there are a lot of changes about to happen across from the Memorial Stadium, and so the whole landscape is changing. And I've been on the Board of Adjustment here in Stephenville for many years now, over a decade. And right now I'm the chair, and so I'm just seeing lots of changes occur, and I thought, what could I possibly do with that backside of my property to where it could be of use, but at the same time perhaps meet some of the needs of some of the housing needs that are happening just really close to Tarleton. And so I thought, well, let me see about replatting my property. And so I talked to a surveyor and Zane Griffin, and talked with Mr. Killen. And so originally the idea was to break that acre and almost a little over a quarter into two pieces, and have an R1 right behind me and then R1 where we are at the moment. But then it came that if it was an R1, then there would have to be requests for variances for side setbacks and for depth. And so it was like, well, I would be then requesting an R1 replat, but then ultimately the request would go before the board that I chair. And so I just thought ethically maybe an interesting option would be, and Steve brought to my attention, is that there's this new 2.5, and I thought, okay, well, what if we had two, or even those two lots could be put into one lot if someone bought it and wanted to put one entity on that property. So I thought, well, let me just ask for two 2.5 lots that could either be sold hopefully as one piece, that then someone could then do something with it that could be somehow addressing some of the needs of people who are trying to move to Stephenville or need to move closer to, say, perhaps Tarleton or some such. And then I thought the 2.5s would then be able to definitely only be single-use family, duplex, or townhome, I think is what I was under the impression of, not an apartment complex. So is R3 the apartment?
That is correct, sir.
So that was always my concern, is that it just be for family use, or single family. And then I talked with some neighbors, and some of them were concerned also about the notion of it being apartment versus And I said, well, I'm with you, I don't want to have an apartment. But I live on 940 and have for several years. I've been in Stephenville 15 years. I also have 2 houses on West Sloan that are R1 family homes. I'm surrounded by people who have R1 family homes. And there's no guarantee that just because it's an R2.5, that you're gonna have, as this gentleman was, I think his name was Mr. Raspberry, that you're gonna have somehow some stellar tenant or owner that's not gonna have it turn into a big frat house or something. So anyway, I'm just saying that the 2.5 in my vision is I'm gonna be able to put the land that Bertie and I have to use, so that those 2 lots potentially could be used to put either a single dwelling home, a single family dwelling on it, or a duplex or town. And a couple of other things. It's apparently less, there would be the possibility of more, I'm trying to use the exact language, that less coverage of the lot, on the lots, and greater distance between adjacent structures if it's 2.5 versus what could happen if it was an R1. So, I'm totally open to other questions. I hope I've been as comprehensive as possible. It's not planned development, there's no multi-use.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah.
Commissioners, do you have any questions for Dr. Causey? Thank you, sir.
You're welcome.
Appreciate it. All right, we'll go ahead and open a public hearing. Is there anybody here who wishes to speak in favor of this rezone, I guess rezone and replat? Anybody who wishes to speak against? Anybody who just has concerns? Yes, ma'am. Please come up, state your name and address, and you have 3 minutes.
I'm Karen Carlton. I live at 920 Lydia. I was wondering how many units would be in this townhome, this units?
Yes.
Would there be 3,
Steve.
4?
Ma'am, this is just a rezone and a replat.
At this
Dr.
point, we
Quasi
don't
has
know.
not suggested anything of what his intentions are as far as future development.
Okay, I guess my concern is the back side of the property backs up to other people's and they're gonna lose their privacy. Also, we have a lot of elderly people that's lived there for years and years and years. You're kind of changing the way that property's been since mid-70s. And they have voiced concerns to me that they're unhappy about it. They want it to stay all single family, because that's, I mean, a lot of them's been there for 40 years. So,
Yeah.
and that's about all I have to say.
Okay, so Steve, the R2.5 is single-family townhouse, correct?
Townhomes.
Townhomes.
Right.
So, I mean, it's not multifamily, so we're not looking at like apartments or anything of that
Right,
nature.
I understand
Yeah.
that, but a lot of people buy townhomes in order to rent. And also, it will look different. People will lose their privacy, and it will not be like it was, basically. So, it's
Okay.
just a change that we're against.
I hear that. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
Is there anybody else who wishes to speak against? Yes, sir, please come to the podium, state your name and address, and you have 3 minutes.
Okay, my name is Brent Billings, I live at 970 North Lydia. I'm pretty much same situation she is, right behind it. I'm not in favor of it at all. I'd be okay with maybe an R1, but I don't want any smaller lots, any less, expensive houses to take away from my property value. So I'm a no.
Thank you, sir. Anybody else? Yes, sir.
My name's Bill Leverton. I live at 950, next door neighbor. I don't have so much a tremendous amount of discourse, or I diverge from him a little bit on it, but I'm not really deathly against it. But I do have some concerns I wanted to address with you guys. So the first one is changing from R1 to an R2.5, and it is, if I'm not mistaken, sir, allowable to have multifamily within a small setting, meaning you could have a quadplex there. Is that correct?
Well, yes, sir. It's actually referred to by code as a townhome. which is
Even though it
actually.
would be a quadplex?
It's actually separate, it's built differently. It's, yes, it can be a fourplex as a townhome.
So
But each one would
possibly 8
be,
cars parked there is a question.
townhomes are individually owned and individually platted. And so
So it would have to be
R3s are,
individually owned.
R3s are generally managed properties that would include
So the
all
first
of
question is
parcels.
going from R1 to R2.5 is non-conforming, meaning historically has been an R1, so no longer it will be conforming to the R1 standard. The second question I have is that it may or may not hold to the highest best use of the property, which again is the charge of the committee to make sure that the property is held to the highest best use possible. In a historical R1 community, it could be argued, as Mr. Billings did, that the value of the properties could be decreased because it went from an R1 to an R2, simply because more traffic on Lydia, more congestion, so on and so forth. And potentially, if you brought in a duplex, it would not be potentially to the same value as the properties exist now. Now, I realize my property is like his. I still have a little over an acre on that area. And the houses behind that could or could not be affected in terms of their property value. So that is a consideration of mine. The third thing is there are actually two other lots on our block that are empty. So then that would definitely open Pandora's box, if you will, for someone else to open and build the exact same thing. Ideally, right next door to me on the north side, that is an empty lot. And then, quite frankly, one house down across the street on Lydia is another one. So we could turn that into a townhouse row, if you will. And the challenge with that is that the amount of traffic that would increase is terrible to Lydia, particularly with the Harbin project coming, and the diversion of traffic is an unnecessary problem. And the last thing I didn't think about was that it is not in keeping with the city's strategic plan. And I'm not necessarily standing here telling you I'm against it. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying, please pay attention. Please don't put up some quadplex. In 5 years, the fence is going to fall down. We've got a bunch of cars on blocks out there. No, we don't. Nobody wants that, you know. And I think that if you just show some consideration, and I think Dr. Quasi is a conscientious citizen, he doesn't want that either. But those are really just the concerns I have. So.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much.
Why don't we go ahead and let Todd speak, and then we'll come back to you.
How you doing, Todd McAvoy, 2130 Crestridge. I live right around the corner. Again, I don't think your intentions are bad. That's not what this is about. But I do think that, and I've served in y'all's position, and I respect y'all's decision. But on this case, what zoning's done is intended, I say this one time when I'm up there, is this has to do with not protecting one person's property values, and that's why people live in the city in zones, is it protects all property values around. And so therefore, with that being said, you have an issue here where you're going to throw in 2.5, and it's not about, zoning is not about what it can be or what somebody's going to promise it can be. Once that property sells, it can be any of the three other things that are remaining, which are condominiums, townhomes, and or a 2 to 4 person family dwelling. 2 to 4 person family dwelling is whatever we want to call it. It can be 2 here, 2 here. They're separate. So you got to be careful with that. On this one particular zoning, that 2 to 4 probably doesn't meet because it's 7,500 square feet versus 6,600 square feet, so you're probably safe there. But a little replat here and a little replat there, and you're back in business. So you got to be careful when it comes to zoning, especially a little spot zone where it's 2.5. And the only other question that I can ask, I don't know who, because I should have known this answer. 1.5, is that the same plot size as a R1?
No, sir.
No, so they could get an R2 or 1.5, which makes it a smaller single-family home, and still do the same thing, but it makes it be a single-family home and not a townhome or a condominium.
That's correct.
Okay, that's all. Thank you very much for y'all's time.
Thank you, Todd. Yes, sir. Come on up.
My name's Seth Drager. I live at 925 Lydia. I think everyone's really said everything I had to say, but I want to make sure I was on record. I have no issues with the replat. It's the zoning that concerns me, particularly traffic. There are a lot of children who live on the street. Potentially going to as many as 4 townhomes could be, when they're shared with college students. 10, 12 cars on the street. They drive incredibly fast. I mean, it's a major problem already. And again, just a huge concern for me. If 1.5 is a possibility, I would encourage that. Because like you said, he doesn't have any plans for the lots today. Not knowing what will happen is very concerning. If we knew it would be 2 single-family homes or 1 single-family home, I don't think any of the neighbors would have any concerns.
Thank you, sir. I know you want to speak. Let's just see. Does anybody else wish to? Yes, ma'am. Yes, if you just come up to the podium.
So what is the maximum
You'd
number?
state your name and address.
Pardon me. Darla Fent, and I'm at 960 Lydia. So what is the maximum number of townhomes or homes that could be built on this property?
Townhomes are limited to 14 units per acre, so we would have to do the ratio on the dimensions of the lot if it was replatted and determine what the maximum density would be for that particular lot.
Okay, and so the next question is, I would assume, being worst case, planning for worst case, you're gonna have the maximum number of townhomes that can be built on that property. What's the requirement for parking? Because each of those townhomes are going to have 2 or 3 or 4 students in them.
Yeah.
And each one of those students is going to have a vehicle or 2, So what's the plan or the requirements for parking?
That's a great question, and the parking for R2.5 is actually 1.5 units, or 1.5 parking spaces per bed, I believe. And so.
Per what?
Per bed.
Per bed.
Per bed.
And if I could circle back to that, once, I'm going to verify that. But
Okay.
I'd like to, believe we made some modifications to that when the ordinance was passed. So let me refer to the staff report and see if I have that information in there for you.
Do you have any other concerns?
Well, I reiterate their concern, because the nice thing about Lydia is it's the walking street. I have many more walkers than cars. And I do think that we're changing the climate of our street. We have lots of our street's not young families, but we have lots of young families that circle on our street. So I really do have a concern that you're changing the climate of the neighborhood. But, again, I worked at Charlton, so I understand, it's coming. It's just we need to preserve as much of that neighborhood feel as we can, because that's the thing I like about Lydia, is the fact that there are so many people that walk on that street. So, thank you.
So I need to clean up my statement a little bit. It's 2 spaces per dwelling. And so if it were a 3-unit townhome, it would be required to have a total of 6 spaces, or 2 for each individually platted townhome.
Okay, so it's not per bed.
It's not per bed.
Okay,
R3,
so if there are 3 students in each of those townhomes, they only have 2 parking spaces?
That is correct.
So then what is the restriction for that person then parking on the street? Are we going
Public
to-
street. So
What?
anyone can park on a public street unless it's designated no parking.
So what we're going to have is you're going to build 2 spaces per townhome, and then the rest of the people are going to park on the street.
In that scenario, yes, ma'am, that would be the case.
That'd be the case. So I think, again, that's changing the climate of the neighborhood. I would recommend we look at 1.5 instead of 2.5, because that would preserve the neighborhood more than the other, if I'm understanding correctly, which may not be right, so.
And I appreciate your comments. Without knowing exactly what the project may entail, I mean, we don't know if the townhome would be a 1-bedroom townhome or a 3-bedroom townhome. And so that's a great point that you're making.
But you have
But we
to
don't have that
plan.
information now.
You have to plan on
You're
worst
absolutely
case.
correct. Yes, ma'am.
And we should, because that's what preserves the neighborhoods.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you, Mrs. Flynn.
Okay.
Anybody else wish to speak? Yes, ma'am.
First time I've ever been to any of these meetings, but anyway, my name is Lisa Billings, and I live at 970 North Lydia. I would be right across the street from this. And I can tell you right now that if this were to be approved, we would end up looking like the other side of Lydia. And if y'all ever drive down there, it's the one from Fry to like if you were to go to Meadville, if you will. The city does not hold the compliance of these standards. You cannot hardly drive down that road any given time of the day. It can only be a single car go through there because of all the cars that are parked there. And they're single homes. There's not any townhouses or duplexes. And you can just imagine how many cars. They park in the grass. They have trailers there. And the city doesn't do anything for it. So I would hate to put our side, because every time I tell someone where I live on the better part of Lydia. And I would really want to keep it that way because the value of our homes are really great and we take care of them. And I just don't want it to turn into what the other end does. Thank you all.
Thank you, ma'am. Anybody else wish to speak? Yes, sir.
Kenneth Carlton, I live on 920 North Lydia. We have a problem sometimes with people parking in front of our mailbox already. And you start putting a bunch of cars in there and park a bunch in front of mailboxes. The mailman will not deliver if there's a car parked in front of your mailbox. And that's a concern.
Thank you, sir. Any other concerns? All right, we'll go ahead and close the public hearing. Mr. Kazi, I'm sorry. Dr. Kazi, please, you wanted to.
I'm just happy to know that if I actually ask for another, if this doesn't pass, that it's at least, I've got it on the record, 1.5 seems the way to go.
Yeah.
But in terms of conformity, it seems funny that they're saying, let's conform, but then not across the street over there, though. So that's something interesting. Right across the way from my backyard fence, there's nothing there and hasn't been for, I don't know, maybe over 40 years, maybe never. And so to me, what's going on is in terms of property values, it's like property value is only as good as what happens when you sell it or what happens when it ends up going, on. In terms of worst case scenario, I mean, that's a very pessimistic way of looking at things. It's like all I can say is that I'm surrounded with the R1 everywhere I own properties, and boy oh boy, there's just no controlling those, what or who ends up moving in. I'm not just targeting, I'm not just saying let's do this in order to have Tarleton students come and wreck the neighborhood. What I'm just saying is my property at this moment is not valuable to me at all in terms of that last quarter acre. And so I'm just trying to make it of use and have some value. And it won't affect anything in terms of what's going on across the street because there's just an empty lot there with a beautiful birdhouse. So to me, that those arguments just aren't as strong, but I definitely get the sense of what everyone's at, like voicing in terms of any kind of opposition. But the only other problem with all of this is just asking is a very expensive endeavor. And so I appreciate the time, and I hope that you understand that all these requests are expensive. And so, just to make some little bit of change or a little bit of movement in Stevensville is not for the faint of heart. And so I just hope that, and it's not for the thin of wallet either, apparently. So I hope you guys would consider that as well. It isn't just about, there is a sense of ossification, and I'd like for us to kind of move forward. So
Thank you, sir.
I appreciate your time.
Okay, closing the public hearing. Commissioners, we need a motion so that we can discuss.
I recommend the council to deny RZ 2021-019.
Second.
It's spot zoning, is what it turns into, basically. And like everyone has stated, property values are going to drop because of it being a different zone. with different dwellings and different everything, and then the street congestion and everything that comes with the 2.5.
By that argument, all 2.5 is gonna be spot zoning, there's none currently.
Is there an argument to be made for multi-use neighborhoods that aren't completely uniform? I mean, I know it's not something we have in Stephenville right now, but,
I think there's an argument to be made for that, but whether this is the area to do that, I don't, yes, there are some empty lots, but I don't think there's enough that would,
Well, if you
that
look
would
at,
justify that.
if you look at the
that
empty
kind of a
lots that are
situation.
on the opposite side of his property, they're all the same landowner.
Mhm.
And she owns 3 lots. Those 2 are on Lydia, and then the other one is on the street where she resides, according to what I saw in the.
Right, no, I'm in agreement with you, and more to the point, you know, a couple of people mentioned it, there are some other empty lots, and if we okay this change to to the 2.5, then there's nothing to stop that woman who currently has her birdhouse or her family in the near future, or anytime in the near future, to sell it off and create, or try to create a 2.5 there. And then suddenly you're getting, instead of just this one lot with a couple of townhouses, you've got 2 or 3 lots now with a couple of townhouses. And that does tend to change the dynamic of this. This is an established neighborhood. Somebody mentioned it, early 70s. I grew up in this neighborhood. Not a lot has changed. I agree. It does have some ossification there. And it sounds to me like you've got neighbors who are not fully opposed to having new builds, but I think I'm reading the room, and the real concern is whether or not these might turn into something that would lessen the neighborhood, and I don't think that would be your intent at all.
It would not be my intention, I just wanted to get
As-
some
as-
value out of my property.
I understand.
okay, further discussion, are we ready to vote? All right, we're gonna go ahead and do a roll call vote on this. So the motion currently stands to deny this rezone request. Mary?
In favor of denying.
So that's in favor of denying, so yes. Bruce?
No.
No. Justin?
Yes.
Yes. Cliff?
Then,
Deny so yes for the motion?
Yes.
Deny. And I'm gonna say no and?
Yes.
Yes?
no.
And no. So what do we got? We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 4 to 3. Okay, so how this stands, because we don't have a full 2/3, it's going to go forward to council without a recommendation. Council will make the final call. So I would recommend all of you to turn up at the next council meeting, state your case just as you did today. Council is the body that makes the final decision. We only recommend to council. So it's going forward without a recommendation. Is everybody clear?
Actually goes forward as a denial.
Goes forward as a denial?
That's, yes.
Even though it was 4-3, I thought it had to be
Yes, ma'am.
5.
Without the 2/3, it goes forward as a denial.
Okay, so it's going to go forward as a denial, but again, council will make their own choice on this. Okay.
It's gonna go to council as a 4-3 vote.
Correct. Yes, sir.
When they're not unanimous, Steve brings that up at city
Correct.
council. So.
Okay, so before we close this meeting.
Question.
Yes, sir.
So do we need to attend the next meeting?
You
or
need
is
to
it
attend the
denied?
next city council meeting. The city council, we only make a recommendation. City council makes the final decision. So you should attend the next city council meeting and speak, just as you did tonight. Yes,
Is that
sir.
January 4th?
It is
First Tuesday.
the first Tuesday in January. Okay?
Be January the 4th.
Okay. Okay, before we close tonight, I want to say thank you to a couple of longstanding members on the Planning and Zoning Commission. We've got Todd McAvoy and Cliff McCurry, who are stepping down after years and years of service, and we want to say thank you very much for your hard work and effort, and we appreciate what you've done for the city of Stephenville. And on that note, if I could get a motion to adjourn, unless you have something to add?
I just wanted to say thank you all for coming out, and appreciate everyone's input tonight, and Merry Christmas to everyone.
That too, yes.
American
That was way more
Beauty.
civil than mine. Get out. Okay. Thank you. you all for coming. We appreciate your input, and I hope everyone has excellent holidays. And do I have a motion to adjourn?
I move to adjourn.
Thank you, Mary. So adjourn. Thank you all for coming.